Welcome back. We're going to go on to Sham Uddin now. We're going to talk about different types of business setups in UK and partnership. So, can I ask you a question? How many different types of business setups are there?
Well, in theory, there are three main ways of owning a business. I think you're asking...
Okay, sorry about that. We've just got a caller online.
Okay.
Yeah, can you connect us to the caller, please?
Hello.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Welcome, assalamu alaikum. Who am I speaking to?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. I have to durable one, please.
Yeah, no problem. Can I speak to? I've got a question for the G10 Design and Print.
Okay. What's your question, please?
What it is. First of all, G10. I have to say, mashallah, you guys are doing really, really well. It's nice to see someone from the Bengali community doing really well as you guys. What I would like to ask is, I'm looking to start my own business, and the problem that I face is that I don't have enough capital to get me through the business alone, so I'll have to work as well. So what I want to suggest to you guys is, when you guys started the G10 business, you said that you worked elsewhere. If you didn't work elsewhere, would you have been able to survive, or would you have to pack it in and carry on working your full-time job?
Okay, do you want to answer that one?
Everyone needs an income to survive. You have to have an income to survive. So what we did, right, we had to work full-time, and then we did what we did through G10 purely at our spare time. Rafiqul and myself used to play a lot of snooker on our spare time. I used to play football, snooker. I gave up all this. So in life, you have to gain something, you have to sacrifice something. We sacrifice our social life. Yeah. So I kept my job, daytime job, and I did that on my spare time, to gain what we've gained. I hope that answers my brother's question.
Depending on what type of business you're going into. I mean, if you're going into some kind of manufacturing or something where there's labour involved, then it's going to be obviously difficult to do two jobs at the same time if you're on your own. But if you're going into a sector where you can do both jobs, then you will have to, sacrifice one.
It's not prescriptive. What Joyce said earlier on, you have to have self-belief. If you've got self-belief, then you'll find a way. I mean, obviously, when I started my business, I was earning a good salary with a particular firm of solicitors. I left that. I had no income. I maxed my credit cards. I had 5 credit cards. I maxed them all. Went in because I believed that I could succeed, and I worked late hours, and then mashallah, as a result of hard work and obviously people's support. So what that brother is saying, if you've got a self-belief, then you'll find a way.
At the end of the day, it's like mind over matter, isn't it? Your belief is there, and you can create the matter.
You have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself and say, look, can I do it?
That's right. Can I come back to the question, Sham?
I think the question you asked was how many ways of owning a business and service setup. In this country, principally, there are 3 ways of owning a business. There is the sole trader. As an individual, I am the owner of my business, and there's nobody else. And the second one is when you have a partnership, so more than one person who owns a business, that is known as a partnership. And the third way is a limited company, whereas the limited company is actually the owner of the business, but what you have is a share in the company, and therefore you are the owner, but indirectly as a shareholder. So these are the 3 ways of owning a business in the UK at this moment in time. Now, a limited company has a subset where you could have a public limited company or a private limited company. I think for the purpose of this program, to go into PLC will be too complicated and unnecessary.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to ask G10 to remember me when they go PLC.
Yeah, when they go there. And I'm sure, inshallah, in a few years' time, we might be sitting here with G10 being a PLC, and I'm also maybe a shareholder, or most of the Bangladeshi community,
inshallah.
Or most of their customers. But in any event, these are the 3 ways, and obviously owning your own business on your own is more flexible because you have no one to answer to other than yourself. So there's no need to have any kind of agreement with yourself other than doing the work.
Yeah, that's another question I was going to ask actually. A, what do you recommend? And many of our companies are I have a call again, so we're going to have to go to the caller. Okay, caller? Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Hello. Assalamu
Assalamu alaikum. What question do you have?
I don't have any question, but I'd like to speak to studio.
To who, sorry?
Studio.
Studio.
Yeah.
Studio. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you can speak up, so you just tell us what you want to ask.
Okay.
Is it regarding Business Today show?
No. আমি যেখানে কাজ করি আমি কিছু বলতে চাই।
আচ্ছা।
He works at G10, yeah.
Sure.
হ্যাঁ।
Zamanju.
আমার নাম মঞ্জু আর আমি প্রথমে ধন্যবাদ দিতে চাই এনটিভিকে সুন্দর একটি প্রোগ্রামের জন্য আর ধন্যবাদ জিতেনকে আমি খুব গর্ব করি জিতেনে কাজ করি বলে শুধু তাই না জিতেন পারবেন একটি কমিউনিটির জন্য
Thank you for that anyway. Okay, sorry, can we get back to...
Yeah, so as I say, if you have a ownership, sole owner, sole trader, so you don't need to have agreement, but then you've got the other section where you have a partner, and obviously G10 initially had 10 partners, but you could have a sole business, then you could get in partners, and then you could go to a limited company. So the other one, like I say, is a partnership. And what I would recommend is it's better to have what is known as agreement between the partners as to what is expected of one another. So if you go back to the creation of G10, there were 10 initially, and then there's 3 remaining. Something must have happened. I'm not saying any kind of dispute happened, but there's some kind of settlement or resolution happened whereby 7 people decided to go away and 3 people, decided to stay, and it could have turned nasty. If the other 7 said, well, look, hold on, we think we should run the business, there's 3 of you, but obviously, thank God, in their particular situation, there wasn't any dispute, but a lot of the time, people do start a business, and...
what sort of agreements can you have in...
Well, it's like any agreement. It's like an agreement, a partnership deed, what is expected of the people, so what you would have in a partnership agreement, profit sharing, how much you should share, what is expected of one another, in the event of a dispute, how you would resolve that. In the event that somebody wants to retire from the partnership, some person may come back and say, look, I just can't hack this, working 25, 26, 28 hours a week or 30 or 40, 50 hours a week. You could do that, I can't do that, I've got a problem with my family, I've got other issues. And then you'd have to find a way of resolving it. And if you have a partnership deed, then that is the best way of resolving it because you have the...
Yeah, definitely, because you don't come into an argument, you've got a contract in place.
I mean, to create a partnership, a lawyer would charge you from minimum to £500 to £1,000. However, if you have a dispute, and you go to court, a lawyer would charge you up to £50,000 to £100,000. So you're better off spending that money, 500 to 100, have that as an insurance policy.
Not only dispute, I think it's just a good idea, really.
But it's not a
people are quite shy about it to talk to their partners. Let's make a contract. And the other partner, oh, you don't trust me.
No. There's a good saying in Bengali.
But you're saving both sides.
Of course,
You're not just saving one person. You're saving both sides.
Viewers, it's advisable that you do have some sort of contract in place in partnership.
There's a saying in Bengali, which I'll do it in English, which is when you're talking about anything, first you talk about the bitter side of things, and then you talk about the sweet side of things. So that's right. My grandmother used to say that. And in any event, it's better to do that. So it's better to talk about it and say, look, in the eventuality of a dispute, this is the way we want to resolve it. At least you've got it set in. Sorry, Rafa.
I was going to say, obviously, you've mentioned about the different types of partnership.
Yeah.
Well, what happens when, obviously in our community, there's a lot of it, where there's silent partnership involved? Would you still advise...
So you still have a partnership?
Agreement?
Partnership agreement, don't you?
No. In our community, people make the mistake. They say, look, I'm a silent partner. They think, as a silent partner, I don't work in the business, you work in the... That's actually a totally wrong way of dealing with that. A silent partner is a person who is partner but doesn't have any role in the management of the business, so it's effectively silent. The other partners work in the business. So if you're a silent partner, you still have a deed, but that deed will say you're a silent partner.
That's something they're going to talk in the beginning
Yeah.
before they go into a business.
Yeah.
Either it's going to be a silent partner or it's going to be a working partner. So this is something they talk in the beginning
That's
before
right.
they
Yeah.
go into a
But
business.
there should always be a deed
Principle
there.
from what I know, you have to have an agreement. It's best to have an agreement.
It's very and even if you open a business under a limited company, you could have what is known as a shareholders agreement,
Yeah.
which is similar to a partnership deed, whereby what is expected of a shareholder director. So,
Yeah, what's the cost implication in disputes?
well, look, a cost implication. I have done a lot of disputes whereby the business is worth only about £30,000, but they have spent £60,000 to £70,000 on lawyers.
Oh my
Because of the fact that, because why? Once they go into dispute, they don't really care about what, it's the principle.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have gone bankrupt as a result of principle. It's better to have, when it comes to business, my view is, business is for profit, and if you're going to make a loss in a dispute, walk away.
Yeah.
But obviously take independent legal advice before you do any of that.
Well, one thing I don't understand is you talk about the principle afterward when the dispute started, but before then, a lot of people don't look at the principle of actually having a contract in place and having the right paperwork in place.
Because people are shy. They
Yeah.
think, not shy, they don't want to offend. They think, look, if I talk to you about a partnership deed, you might get offended. You might think I'm trying to take an advantage. But what people don't realize, sorry, is there another
Yeah, no, what it is, we're coming to the end of the show, actually.
Okay.
Just very briefly, could you tell us what advice can you give us to minimize disruptions?
Always have a partnership deed if you go into a partnership with someone. Always have a shareholders agreement if you have a limited company. And if you're a sole trader, always take advice from your wife.
So you've got no one really to worry about. If you're
Apart from your wife, really. But if you're a woman, take advice from your mother, not from your husband.
Very briefly, could you advise business owners plan for retirement, and once they've owned a business, how do they plan for retirement
Look,
legally?
all businesses, it's very easy to say this when you start a business. Everybody thinks they're going to live forever. Everybody thinks that they will run the business forever. But if you run a business thinking, well, look, I'm not going to be here all the time, I'm going to retire. If you plan for retirement, then you will run your business in a certain way. You will run it in this way, like somebody else could pick it up and run with it. Whether you want to give it to your children, whether you want to sell it, always plan for retirement. But I know it's easier said than done, but it's always better to have infrastructure in place that what if something happens to me tomorrow? How can my business run? How my staff be able to manage? Because don't forget, if something happens to you or you want to retire, you've got all this contract with people and you could be sued, if you don't fulfill the contract. So what I would say, definitely, that what you do is plan for retirement. Of course you have to plan for retirement.
Okay, interesting. I think there's a lot of things that some of us do ignore sometimes, to be honest. It's important because you've run a business for many years, you've worked so hard, and if you don't plan for your retirement, then you've messed up on your vision there, I really think. Is there any other advice you can give us in terms of business partnership agreements or the setups, any particular setups that you feel is...
I mean, what I would say is this: if you want to set up a business, don't let the procedure and how to set up what kind of business, whether it's a limited company, partnership or sole trader, if you want to do it, but take advice. There are so many people out there that will give you free advice. Accountants will give you free advice. Lawyers will give you free advice. Bank managers will give you free advice. But the best advice, I find, is from colleagues, people who've been in business. If you go to, I'm sure that if anybody who wants to open a printing business...
We're going to finish in about 2 minutes. So.
Yeah, if anybody wants to open a printing business, if they pick up the phone to speak to any of my colleagues here, I don't think they're going to say no. They'll say, look, these are the mistakes we've made. If anybody wants to be a lawyer, open their own practice. If they ring me, I'm not going to say, oh, you're my competitor.
That's right.
So anyway, take advice from your peers.
Who has opened businesses.
We're going to wrap up now for today. Thank you, viewers. We have come to the end of the show today. Well, viewers, after listening to the directors of G10, I have picked up a few valuable information, and I hope you have too. What I would like to say is, if we are determined on our dreams and are ready to work day and night, there's nothing in this world that can stop us. There will be obstacles on our journey. There will be critics. There will be doubters. But you should work in a way to prove them wrong. That's very important. There will be doubters, critics. We need to prove them wrong. And this reminds me of one thing Albert Einstein once said. It's like, life is like riding a bicycle, and you keep riding your bicycle just to keep the balance. So that is what I mean. I couldn't clearly remember what Albert Einstein said. I think life is like riding a bicycle. To keep a balance, you must keep moving. That's what he said. To keep the balance, you must keep moving. Viewers, thank you very much for watching us today. And don't forget to visit our website, which is www.businesstodayshow.co.uk. And if you'd like to email us, then please do so on businesstoday@ntveurope.net. That's businesstoday@ntveurope.net. And don't forget, please do tune in on the 4th of October at 5 p.m. and we will have a discussion of another incredible success story and meeting Matthew, the property expert. With Matthew, we'll be discussing about properties and how to get hold of properties below market value. So until next time, don't forget, tomorrow's business is business today.